2024 St. Clair Shores City Council meeting to order. Abby, please call the roll.
Mayor Walby?
Here.
Councilmember Burgess?
Here.
Councilmember Karen?
Here.
Councilmember Frederick?
Present.
Councilmember Rubella?
Present.
Councilmember Rusi?
Here.
And Councilmember Vitale has asked to be excused.
Move to be excused. Support.
All in favor to excuse Councilman Vitale?
Aye.
All opposed? 6-0. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The city manager, Mr. Lent, is under the weather, as many people seem to be at this time this year. So, and I think, as you recall, just at the end of last year, our city manager, our assistant city manager, Michael Green, went on to greener pastures, became the city manager out there in Lathrop Village. So we are still in the process of hiring an assistant city manager. So hopefully, council will be easy.
Big gap here today.
Yeah, it is a big gap, but they'll be easy on me, and we'll get through tonight's meeting and have to probably respond to some of the questions for the next meeting. But so that's where our staff is. So with that, we don't have any proclamations or presentations. Item 3 is audience participation. Do we have anyone who would like to speak on agenda items, Abby?
No, we do not.
Okay. So item 4 is bids, contracts, purchase orders. Again, the pump house, we're still working on some of the invoices and the bills with the contractors. So again, we'll hopefully have that at the next meeting. So 4B will be request to approve a resolution accepting the Transportation Asset Management Plan. Denise Pike, CDI Director.
Mayor, Council, good evening.
Evening.
I would, before we begin, like to introduce to you our new city engineer, Mike Freckleton. He has been with us since December the 11th, so his first council meeting. And I'm going to let Mike introduce this, and then I'll be supporting him with more information and questions.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. So as Denise said, my name is Mike Freckleton. I came from, working consulting for 8 years prior to here with municipal. So yeah, we are here to discuss the acceptance of the Transportation Asset Management Plan. As you guys are aware of, this is a little bit overdue in submitting to the state. So it is imperative that we do get something in front of them sooner rather than later for them to review. The Transportation Asset Management Plan is based on the most recent set of PASER ratings that Hennessy engineers had done for the city of St. Clair Shores in 2021. So the main point of the TAMP is to outline the current condition of the community's roads and come up with a general outline and plan on how we want to improve those moving forward, with the keys being the different breakdowns of the conditions. So good, fair, and poor is how the Transportation Asset Management Council defines that. In the city currently, we actually are doing fairly well. We have, especially compared to state ratings and other local communities, with 57% of our roads being in fair condition. Our goal outlined by the plan is for our major roads to have a 40-40-20 split between good, fair, poor, and our local roads be 30-55-15 between good, fair, and poor. There are multiple ways that we can work to achieve that. I can get into those a little later if you want, but for right now, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you may have.
You opened with overdue.
Yes.
So how overdue?
Couple years.
A couple years. So
Yes.
2021?
Yes.
2020?
Yes, 2021.
What is it?
Mike, let Denise answer.
So, Mayor, the TAMP was due on October 1st, 2021. That is when the state of Michigan said, City of St. Clair Shores, you need to have the Transportation Asset Management Plan to us. At the time, and this is not to deflect, but it was my second week and Chris Liebert's first week
Okay.
when it was due. Unfortunately, it was not something that we picked up, and now it is two years overdue.
Okay. Questions? Ms. Rusi?
I guess first on that point, when was Hennessy given the task of working on this?
Hennessy created the initial draft of the plan in 2021.
So we would have been in time, but, I mean, they were creating on behalf of us. Somebody was paying those bills, then they had, and they just never gave it to us. I mean, we paid for it, but they just never gave it to us. It just doesn't make any sense. They were aware of this outstanding project, that they were doing this on behalf of the city at the request of the previous CDI director. I just don't understand how this fell through the cracks for a number of years.
Councilwoman, I understand your concern. I'm not sure that I can fully answer your question. In speaking with Hennessy, they did mention that they had had conversations. I think what we are working to do is to remedy the absence of having this plan. And we are looking to make sure that we have, and as Mike mentioned, the information that's related to the streets is now 2 years old, almost 3. And the most current information we have are on the bridge inspections, which was the section that we had updated prior to distributing it to council.
So it sounds like, I mean, it utilizes some old data, and I know we have to get this in to comply 2 years. I mean, it was due October 1st, 2021, and I only knew about that today after I did some research and found some of that information now. I mean, I knew this was on the agenda. I was like, oh, okay, when's it due? And I saw the resolution here that states this was a new requirement as of 2019. I'm like, a new requirement as of 2019? I don't remember doing this previously. When was this due? Because administration didn't indicate that to us. And the first I had seen of this, it's supposed to set out a 3-year plan, which again is now based on older information for, and that's 3 years of maintenance for important infrastructure things. So it's kind of out of date, and it has no council inputs, which I think we'll be getting into tonight a little bit during this discussion. But we're supposed to be agreeing to a 3-year plan that has no council input. We only received this on Friday with the packet. It's a pretty lengthy technical plan. I mean, I went through it. It got to a point, the end of my tabs isn't the end of my issues, it's the end of when I just ran out of time.
Understood.
So, you know, to hear things like, oh, we want to get this sooner than later, and to get the email that says something like, oh, you know, we don't want to delay council's approval of it. It's not council's fault if we don't approve it tonight.
It is not
Especially
council's
given
fault.
this is, you know, the first we saw was Friday. We
Right.
know we're already 2.5 years late. It's full of errors and typographical issues and substantive issues that we'll be getting into tonight. I just don't understand why the couple years delay happened and why it was not very well conveyed to council. This represents none of our input at this point.
So I will tell you that the Transportation Asset Management Plan requirement was brought to my attention after completing the Act 51 report at the end of December. And that was the first time that I had completed that report. And as mentioned in the email sent earlier, the Act 51, the Transportation Asset Management Plan, was called out by our reviewer as needing to be submitted. So it was part of our reporting for Act 51, and the information we know is out of date. It is our intention to update the PASER this year. Mike will be leading that. And so we'll be able to better know the road conditions once the new PASER, or once the PASER is revisited. I don't think that we could have, and I appreciate you're looking at substantive issues, but other than the road projects that we've done over the last 2 years, that would be what we could have updated under that. The bridge inspections, as I mentioned, those were done in 2023 and uploaded to the MDOT portal.
Like when the substantive issues, and John will, I assume, get more into those. I was more focused on my first skim through on the multiple typographical and clerical errors within this thing. But one of the substantive issues that jumped out to me was the fact that we have Revere Jefferson to the lake on. There is a street we want to do in 2 years when that's a private road. We don't
It is
do
private,
private roads.
yes.
So how did that end up in there?
Because Hennessy used.
Mike, move over, please, yep.
Hennessy used, SEMCOG has a map with road classifications throughout southeast Michigan. And that is what they used as their baseline to determine which streets are local, major, et cetera. That map shows that section of Revere as a local public road. So that is where they got that information
So
from.
Hennessy's picking our next projects for us, or at
They-
least according to this report. Administration knows it's a private road. It just
Right.
doesn't make any sense to me how we get a report that looks like this and then told, oh, well, we need to get this in front of the state sooner than later, despite it being 2.5 years late at this point, when it is full of stuff like that. So, I mean, do you want me to start going through the issues I have, or maybe other people want to talk generally, and then we could get to that? Because I have a lot.
Okay, so you want to relinquish the floor and come back to you?
Yes, that would come back to me.
Okay.
John has his pen up.
Okay,
I know other people want to talk is my point. Other people want to talk, I'll wait, and then I'll come back with my specific issues.
Mr. Karen?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman Rusi, for yielding there. Yeah, the substantive issues that I know I went through yesterday, spent probably like an hour and a half reading through it. And as I was finding each issue, staff, you're already aware of the issues I'm going to bring up. We emailed them to you last night and get some answers today. But it does go back to Hennessy being assigned this job, back in 2021 when they did. They had the assignment and then kind of forget to bring it up. Oh, by the way, we need to do it. Because one of the reasons we have outside firms is that they work with multiple municipalities. They know what to do. They know what people need to do. And they were given the assignment and then 2 years, never bring it back up. So that's one issue with Hennessy on this one. The other one is how the roads that did get listed in here as planned projects, even though it never went through a council review, because in the past, we've asked, September, engineering needs to start well ahead of the next construction season. We've asked in the past, September the year before, we want to know what roads, we want it based on the Paiser system. We don't want someone just randomly picking. We want it based on Paiser and understanding the rationale for why. Before all the engineering starts, so we can get ready for the next construction season. So when they go in here and, we brought up, Revere already, which, we're not responsible for. What they also had on here was Erskine, which we already did this last year. And then I did ask Mike, and he did confirm Alexander on here, that was being held for a potential storm sewer separation project, which that plan was done by Hennessy. So you begin to struggle with why people can't connect all the dots, and we have to wait for a large document to come to council and 2 part-timers to go through and find this all on a weekend before we're being asked to approve it. So I don't know if you want to reply to that specific comment.
I will say that the information, again, dates back to 2021. So the Ursuline project was, at the time, not a project. Other projects contained within the document, I don't know if you recall, Councilman, when we initially started, the task from the former city manager was to create this budget spreadsheet with all of these proposed projects. I believe at the time, there were a number of projects being kicked around, and Hennessy put in what that latest conversation was in October of 2021, which was just the very, very early stages. I think the failure is not reading that and saying, wait a minute. I mean, we in an attempt to get the information approved, and clearly should have read the document more thoroughly and said, these projects are not in there. Again, our intention was we would update that information when we revisited the PASER. That was the intention.
Okay. Yeah, I think it still goes back again, especially on Alexander, of, they did the storm separation plan. They knew that was the plan.
They did do that, and I
And-
believe that was 2022. But,
Well, again, but again,
Understandably.
but they're bringing us a document 2 years later.
Right.
And so, and it was updated. This isn't showing
It was.
plans for 2022 and 2023 that they wrote in they changed the numbers, they changed the dates to 24 through 26, right, for a
Okay.
3-year plan, right? So there should have been some peer review on their side of it to catch those type of issues and say, hey, is this the latest? What else did you guys do? Because I know they're not involved in every project
right,
in that. So, so that's one thing in terms of the road. So I think the planned projects for the roads has to get corrected
okay,
before anything goes to the state.
okay.
And I did have a question on bridge access, which I did get the answer today. Because it says that we only have 4 bridges that we're responsible for.
Correct.
But there's 2 of them, one over Lake Crest Canal, one over the Shorewood Canal. They're both bridges, but by MDOT's definition, they're not a bridge that has to be inventoried because they're not greater than 20 feet is the
Correct.
answer that AEW gave us today. But I do think there ought to be a caveat on there of that the 4 bridges that meet that MDOT criteria is what's listed
Okay,
in that, because, you know, because we just did a bridge repair on Shorewood, but that's not included in the inventory.
right.
The other part on, under the culvert section, I don't think I emailed this one, but it does say at present, St. Clair Shores does not have inventory data on its culverts assets. I think that should be more correctly stated that we do not maintain any culverts as part of any of our roads, which I'm not aware of. There's a culvert under Coast Guard Road, but that's their responsibility. There may be a culvert under the Cockrell Drain, but that's a county responsibility. I'm not aware of anything that's ours. Unless,
So that, again, similar to the traffic signals, was just part of their boilerplate template
Right.
that they had pre-written already.
that's why we don't like
So-
boilerplate language.
Well, but TAMC does, and that is their template that they provide every community to use. And so essentially, all we're updating is, you know, where we call out city specifics, data, figures, and goals. The rest of it is written by them, and they do want to maintain it that way. So, I mean, after looking through it, I do agree. I think some parts are a little bit repetitive and maybe could be better. But, I
Right,
mean,
but-
if that's the way
But
that
Mike,
they
if we're
want to see
following
it, then,
their templated language, it makes it sound like we're not tracking anything, which isn't true. It's, we don't have anything to track
right.
in that. So I think we're safe in changing it to, we don't have any culverts that we have to maintain. And you did bring up the traffic signals, which basically says we don't have an inventory of data on traffic signals because we're not responsible for that. The county is, so I think there should be a statement in there that traffic signals are maintained by the county, and we can give, you know, and we do say planned projects is to do an inventory of them. Actually, we've been asking, and you're not aware of this, but Denise is, we've been asking the county for that for 2 years. To tell us what type of traffic signals we got, timing and all that, and they refuse to give up the information.
So we did have another conversation with Adam Merchant last week, and again asked for the summary report, and then for him to have a meeting with you included to discuss that.
Okay,
So
appreciate
we're
that.
still following up on it.
Okay. And then also in the back, all those same comments, it does carry through to the inventory of the streets that go later in the document and appendices and the bridge report. So any of those corrections, the same caveats, add to those sections as well. And I just think going forward with these type of reports, I don't know if we have to go to some new policy of large things like this that require our approval, and these are new requirements that come in, because that also takes some, you know, some of the things that you have to approve every year, and when you're up here for so many years, you begin to understand why. But for some of these new ones, that maybe they ought to be submitted the meeting before as a receive and file. And then they have up for approval at the next meeting. And maybe we ought to come up with some policy like that. It's not for everything, not for bids or not for site plans and that, but I think, whether it's large reports, planning documents, things like that, that we probably ought to have a policy like that going forward. So we're not getting this on a weekend and having to go through all this, so.
A lot to ask you to go through on short notice, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Rebello.
Okay. A lot of the things that we look through, I mean, it's been discussed. I mean, these are there's a lot to digest over a couple of days, that's for sure. Looking through this, there's a lot of errors in there, obviously, and mistakes. So I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask is, how does this, the process of who's reading these documents, I just sort of wanted to get to the point where, so we can avoid, and it's happened before, how can we avoid the typos and the things that aren't exactly right? Do we have some type of a system in place, some fail-safe? You're not going to get everything perfect, but what basically happens with a document like this?
I mean, I think it would just be various eyes proofreading it, essentially, and again, just noting anything that may need to change or could be, worked over a little better from the TAMC template that's provided to us. I think it just needs to be, looked at a little bit closer. And I guess, going back to what John said, if we are able to provide a larger document like this to council with more advanced notice, then, that's even more eyes. And then perhaps we can work with you guys to address some of those errors prior to, bringing it up on the agenda.
Okay.
Councilman Rebello, I would just
Yeah.
add to that when we're talking about the initial review, it would be the review by staff, pertinent staff, not a review before it goes to council. It would be us trying to catch anything that needs to be corrected or updated.
Yeah, because, that's just a reflection of whoever departments this might be. This is sort of, we all get this affects all of us, okay? Because we're sitting here and, we like to have things run smooth. So I know you said a set of eyes, but maybe you can have a plan or something in the next couple of weeks to actually whose eyes they are. If there's, and like and Councilman Karen said a little bit earlier, it's not for everything, not for all the little bids and things, but some of this bigger stuff. This stuff's important because we have to have a plan. This is what this is about, a plan that we have to submit to the state to get money back, correct? I mean, it's basically that simple.
Yeah.
So, I know Ms. Rusi has something more to say, because I would actually make a motion to table this, but this is it's unacceptable, obviously, to turn into the state of Michigan, okay? It's a reflection on all of us, but I won't do that right now.
Good.
I'm good, Mayor.
Ms. Burgess, before I go back to Ms. Rusi.
I'm just going to make it short because we've already said a lot about it, but, a lot of this information is from 2021, and you said that you just got the information in December of this last year?
I personally.
Right. So from December until our meeting here today, there's been 2 other council meetings. This information that you're asking us to approve is still 2 years old. And to me, it probably should have never been brought here today. So.
Thank you. Ms. Rusi.
Ron has his pen up
Oh,
if he wants
no.
to talk first,
I was
before we
thinking
get
that.
into the multiple tabs I have.
Mr. Frederick.
Thanks. Apparently, Councilman Rusi's got a pretty long agenda. Oh,
Dossier.
geez, there it is. So two really quick questions. So going forward, how often does this get updated?
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years?
Yes.
So the next one's going to be due this year, or?
Yeah, or early next year, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess knowing that, and then the Pazer system that we use for the roads, we don't take all the worst roads and just do those, right? We work that out based on what we think, if a road's gonna fail, or, work it out in some of the percentages that you had talked about.
Yeah, there's various ways to consider that, and especially going forward, that's something that I would like to do more of. So there's, some of the common factors would be, well, actually, let me start by saying that, so for a Pazer rating, the way a street is rated is by the worst section of the street is what the whole street is given. So, for example, a bit more of an extreme example, on Meyer Drive, it is relatively new pavement, and it was rated a 1 because there was one flag that must have had some sort of repair or something done underneath that was filled in with cold patch. So while the rest of the road was probably an 8 or a 9, it got rated a 1 because of that one area. So that is one of the things that we definitely will consider when choosing which roads to do is, the actual percentage or volume of that worst rating or of the poor ratings of the street. There's, the traffic volume, the residential volume that it serves, the potential for through traffic, the volume of the worst rating. There's various factors that we can consider when choosing these
So,
streets.
in your process, are you going to be able to incorporate what you just said to me on knowing if it's Meyer or whatever road it is, that's only one section? I mean, is there verbatims in there? Is there a way to put, because, somebody looks at Meyer and it's a 1, right? So, and if you're not here or Denise is not here, what do we, now it's a 1, right? So is there a part of this process with Pazer, with the ratings that we can include? And maybe it's off to the right on the Excel spreadsheet, whatever it is. I mean, is that something we can add?
Yeah, I can make a spreadsheet that has those factors, assign weights to each one, and then essentially based on that, you come up with different priority scores for each road. And then that can have notes and everything where you've mentioned, okay, this has one area in poor condition, things like that. So there's definitely record keeping that can be done for that, and that we will be doing for that moving forward.
Would that be in your office, or would that be in CDI altogether? Or?
Well, I mean, it will be headed by me, but then, it'll
Okay.
be saved to our, network and
Okay.
everything like that. So
All
it'll
right.
be available for anybody to access when they need to.
Okay, and, I guess with this whole thing, having, been, just fell through the cracks, right? I mean, it jumped through the crack and stayed down there for a couple of years. So, I guess my biggest question is how do we not let anything like that happen? I mean, I can see how, Denise, you just got here, you weren't even aware of this because it was new to any city. I think Hennessy probably is a little bit culpable on this, right? That, it worries me in case there's, because that's what happened. The state does this stuff, right, all the time. We always have unfunded mandates that come down and say we need a report, or, we're going through that in the pension programs, right, with, put the plan together. Oh, you're at 60, oh, you're at 59, put the plan together, right? So I just want to make sure it doesn't happen, and whatever we can put in place so it doesn't happen, I think is extremely important, too.
I think the key is that this is part of our annual reporting now, so we're aware of it. And
No, this one, yes.
It goes along with our Act 51 report. So
Okay.
we will be fully aware.
Okay, all right. That's all I have, Mayor, thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Rusi?
Thank you. Then, okay. Well, I guess first off, I totally agree with John. If we could receive these bid type of reports earlier, that would be, I think, preferable for everybody. But I don't want that to be used as giving us another air-filled draft for us to catch up. We have a full-time staff. We have consultants we pay quite handsomely to do these things. This isn't excusable. This comes on the heels of a 5-year Parks and Rec master plan that I had to do a similar one. John had to do a similar type of tab and a 2-hour each meeting with administration, pointing out all of the errors and inaccuracies of that plan. So I'm just saying, when we get the master plan for the citywide, it better be spotless, because we have spent a lot of time doing this. Getting this so soon after we put out a calendar, went to 28,000 households for $28,000 with an arm's length list of errors in it. I mean, this is just, I don't know what's happening, but the solution isn't get council more involved so we can clean this up, because this shouldn't be happening. So can I go through my actual issues?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess the first off, the question I have that's not an issue, but we're calling this a 2023 plan. Given we're submitting this in February, hopefully of 2024, can we still call it the 2023 plan? That's an overall question I have. Then we call this a plan describing the St. Clair Shores as transportation assets and conditions. I see this throughout this thing where they describe us as the St. Clair Shores, which I believe is a template issue, because we did some sort of copy and paste and search and find, because we have a lot of extraneous thes in here for the city that we don't need. Contents, under pavement assets, inventory of assets. It should be inventory of assets. I assume that's another table issue. Table of figures, figure 3, figure 4, the word city needs to be capitalized, because every figure starts with the capitalized title except for those. Table of tables, this was a good one. Here's another one. This comes a couple of times throughout here. Table 1, road soft model trends, plan projects, a gap analysis for apostrophe S road assets. What does that mean? We forgot to fill in SCSs or St. Clair Shores or the city's road assets. It literally says space apostrophe S road assets. We didn't catch that. This next page, executive summary, we have more of the St. Clair Shores' roads, bridges, and support systems. We gotta take out the word the, that makes no sense. It's found twice on the introduction page, and this is not by any means I intend this to be exhaustive. This is what I found in one skim through when I was reading this last night after I got home from seeing a movie after the daddy-daughter dance. We went out to Ann Arbor, and so it was a late night for me. Inventory of asset on page 3 should be inventory of assets. That needs to be fixed. Page 8, the city plans to pave the unpaved roads as soon as the fund is available for this project. I think you guys mean funding. That wasn't caught. Page 12, maintaining only 4 capital B bridges, should be small b, we don't capitalize anywhere else. Culvert, John brought the culvert issue, but another issue with how it currently is, at present, SES did not track and rated any culverts. We untracked and rated? No, we untrack and rate. So I think a lot of these things are just because somebody got very sloppy with the template and just did copy and paste or search and find or something. I think 19, this is the signal page. Again, I think instead of saying our policies to evaluate traffic signal assets and to conduct replacement repairs, which we don't, that's the county. We don't do those, the county road commission. Instead of saying, we're doing this is our policy, that's not true. That's not accurate. That's not our policy. We don't replace them. We don't repair them. That's on the county road commission. Why are we citing this up to the state if we were just to sit here and approve this? That states that we have a policy of doing the asset analysis, of doing the repairs and replacement. It's not. Top of it says, City of St. Clair Shores, we've already used SCS multiple times. There we say the city, that doesn't make any sense, but that's a small thing. Page 23, this is a good one. Last paragraph, our road and bridge network, for some reason we turn first person here. There's a couple instances where we say our. Every other place, it's third person, the city, yes. This is when we say our road and bridges. That makes no sense. That wasn't caught. Then it says as follows, should be follows. Rosedale, we have a street called Rosedale. No, we have a street called Rosedale, and I live on it. That wasn't caught. That's in here again too. Lang, L-A-N-G, do we have a Lang? No, we have an L-A-N-G-E. They can't spell our city names correct, or our street names correctly. So we have those issues. That comes again in the whole bridge section later on too, where we call it Rosedale. I live 3 houses from the Rosedale Bridge, so. Okay, page 25, City of St. Clair Shores maintain drinking water should be, once again, we defined that SES already. This is the proof of acceptance. We talked about that. Executive summary, that's one because we start on this new report now for the asset management for pavement. The St. Clair Shores fits that repeats. It's not just we have repetitive content, it's we have repetitive issues in the repetitive content. I understand a lot of this is boilerplate, it's template. I skimmed some of this because I figure it's correct because it wasn't newly inserted. Page 12, pavement assets. We bracket patching repairs. Why is patching bracketed? I think that's a template issue. The SCS is responsible. That's not accurate. That's not correct again. Okay, here's a sentence on page 17. The city's schedule and preventive maintenance is the reason for the current road conditions, the budget issue will force the city to cut back maintaining the roads and eventually will change the road network into less category. That sentence makes absolutely no sense. It's change it into less category. That must be a template thing. The whole thing needs rewriting. We replace some words but not others. Page 19. Figure 15 illustrates SCS's entire City of St. Clair Shores paved road network. We don't need to say both SCS and then entire City of St. Clair Shores. Pazer should be capitalized in the graph, and we spell scores SCOERS. That wasn't caught. Page 20. There is a risk that the city overall road network will decrease, like he decreed, decreases. That wasn't caught. From the map above, it shows that 71.4% of all roads conditions are in good and fair category. Of all road is, that needs to be, and then the end of that sentence, to poor category, if not enough funding, if there is not enough funding, we forgot those words. The main factor that affects the major roads, affects with an A, that wasn't caught. It just keeps going. Goals help set expectations to how pavement conditions, as to how pavement conditions. I mean, you know what, I'm not going to continue. They're all like that. They're all like that. And then there's one point, and this is when I stopped reading. I'll get to this one because this one was pretty amazing to me. But the rest of them are like just of the same caliber.
Okay.
Page 11 of the bridge one. Statewide, MDOT statistics for local agency bridges show that 10.3% are poor, okay? We have 0% poor bridges. Okay, so that's the foundation. Okay, statewide MDOT statistics for local agency bridges show that 10.3% are poor, indicating that the SCS has a greater percentage of poor bridges compared to the statewide average. I'm sorry, is 0 greater than 10.3? We have that in here where I get to this point and it's like, it's not just a typo, it's not just this, it's not a template issue. We literally are saying that the statewide average of 10.3 of poor bridges, ours of 0, we have 0 poor rated bridges is greater. No, it's lesser, it's smaller. We have better conditions. And it's like you get to that sentence, it's like, you know, that goes beyond it. How does that get in there and not caught? Where we're saying 0% is greater than 10.3%. And again, I skipped over probably 40 out of, that came to us. And that was, you know, John brought up issues before the meeting and suggested, hey, why don't we, you know, what table, no, we got, you know, sooner rather than later. We were going to send this up to the state. We might as well send nothing up to the state. We send this up to the state. This is just.
Well, we haven't sent anything up in 2 years, so.
Yeah, again, so why, you know what? I agree with the tabling. Dave has his pen up to talk, and I think that's what we have to do, and it has to be another 2 weeks late because this was inexcusable. I mean, we heard excuses, but it's inexcusable. Thank you.
Just one
Mr.
quick point, maybe
Mr.
before we table. I think Ron brought up a great point regarding the next round of doing the Pazer, because I know we first did it in 2016 with HRC, and then when Hennessy did it in 2021, and myself and at the time Mr. Liebert were comparing them, and we had, I'm estimating maybe 20% of the ratings which just did not weren't close to matching. You know, that they had, one had roads that were in poor condition, the other one said it was in good condition. And residential streets, they don't degrade in 5 years, and they don't magically improve in 5 years. So I think, you know, your point of if there is like a specific issue on a road that is causing the rating, to call that out, so we have that, because I know we didn't have that in the past data. All Mr. Lieber and I had to compare were numbers.
Right.
And then eventually, we were like, pick the most extreme differences, and we went out and drove them to see it for ourselves.
Right.
To see what was driving it, and then kind of reassess it ourselves. So I think bringing that in-house, having our own eyes on it, and going through it is a great idea. Capturing any
Verbatims.
verbatim issues, exactly. So that we have it for, apparently, since this will be now a 3-year requirement. In the past, it was recommended to do Pacer in 5, but now the state's requiring this report every 3. It'll be every 3. So, thank you.
Mr. Rebello?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, obviously, like I said, it's unacceptable, and something like this, if you send it, if, say it's okay and you send it there, it might be the difference between us probably not getting what we should be getting. Unfortunately, Hennessy isn't at this meeting, okay? Because I think if somebody comes to the meeting, and I would request in the future, anything like these types of documents, the guy that's getting paid comes to the meeting, okay? I think they do good enough with us that he could show up and answer some of these questions, and in the future, from here on out, might make him a little bit feeling more responsible. Second thing is, with this type of thing, and sort of off the conversation what John and Ron are talking about, is it impossible for us to maybe have the contractor that's doing the streets right along with us, in case he might have some type of an idea for us that we might be able to get more money, more bang for our buck type of thing? Because I think that might be a good idea too. And he may have some good ideas, because these guys have been doing this type of work a really long time. St. Clair Shores has been good to him. He's been good to St. Clair Shores, and I think maybe that might be another possibility too. And that's all I have to say. I will make a motion to table agenda item 4B.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Rebello, supported by Mr. Frederick. To table, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. 4C, request to approve the purchase of 80 new 2024 Club Car Tempos and 1 new 2024 Club Car Cafe Express beverage cart. Mr. Spinizzola, Parks and Rec Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Rob Spinizzola, Parks and Rec Director. Got Matt Crippen with me, Golf Course Manager. Mr. Facette was supposed to be with us tonight, but just like everyone else, he's under the weather too. So we're here tonight to request your approval for the purchase of 80 new Club Car Tempo golf carts and 1 new beverage cart. Additionally, we are asking for the approval of Raleigh Auctions to auction off our current fleet on behalf of the city. We received 2 bids from Club Car and E-Z-Go. These are the 2 main golf cart suppliers in the world. Yamaha, which would be the 3rd, did not bid or call and request any answers to questions or anything like that, so we did not hear from them. If approved tonight for the full purchase of the 80 carts and new beverage cart, it would be in the amount of $503,897.99 to be paid out of the general fund. The golf course would be requesting to pay back the cost of the golf carts only moving forward. So it would be the cost of the carts minus what we would receive back from the auction. And if we do that over 7 years, it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of $47,000 to $50,000 based on how many carts are sold and what price they're sold at. We did include the beverage cart and batteries, but because the batteries are 4 to 5 years down the line, we will request to pay back just the golf cart purchase through the budget. We did reach out to other golf cart resellers, but nobody came back to us with a serious inquiry or a number on what they would pay us for our current fleet. The carts were originally slated to be in fiscal year '25. However, we are asking to do it now because we would like to sell them before the new season gets started. Selling them mid-season would make the transition much harder. with the selling of our current fleet. Additionally, we would lose value as if they were to go out during the spring. So if we ran them through the spring and they went out for more rounds, we lose battery life, more wear and tear, more repairs out of the budget for this year. Club Cars said they would have them to us by April 1st if we do go forward with the purchase. And last note, we didn't feel that the cost difference between lithium and lead acid at this point and the cost savings we would receive in energy was worth it. So that's why we're bringing lead acid battery golf carts back to you tonight. So we'll take any questions.
Questions? Ms. Rusi?
Thank you. So this is for a 23-24 purchase order. Was this part of the 23-24 budget?
It was not. It was going to be proposed for fiscal year '25, but like I had said, if we started using the carts in the spring, we lose potential value on them. So we're asking to speed up the purchase and move it into this year.
I mean, we knew that, I mean, that would be predictable back in April when we were having the budget hearings. That's not like a new thing. Why wasn't that included in the 23-24 budget, thinking about, oh, we use them another spring? I mean, this is part of a replacement schedule, isn't this?
It is, but we weren't sure how long it would take to get carts either, because last time we did this, they had told us it was going to be much longer. Well, now we're getting a guarantee from someone that we can get them before the season.
I just don't understand how we can have a $500,000 request go out to bid that wasn't part of the budget and not get any sort of like, hey, heads up, what do you guys think about this? And now we have a $500,000 request for 80 golf carts that we didn't talk about back in April when we approved this year's budget.
Understood?
And, you know, again, given we know these things need to be replaced for what, like 7 years or something, 7 years?
7, 8 years, yep.
You know, I kind of think, I would like to see us get an incremental fleet replacement type schedule. Like we don't buy, you know, 60 cop cars at once and then say, here, then at the end of 5 years, we'll have to buy 60 new cop cars. No, we buy 5 cop cars every year. You know, we do it that way so our whole fleet doesn't go bad at the same time and we have to find another $500,000 in 5 to 7 years.
So, and someone that's been up here much longer than I have might be, we used to do a replacement of 25 golf carts at a time. And I believe when the economy took a downturn, we stepped away from doing that. So when we had to replace the fleet last time, we had to do everything at once, which is how we ended up getting on this type of schedule.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this type of schedule. In 7 years, we're going to have 80 old carts we have to replace, and we'll just always be on the schedule then. You know, and then have to find another, you know, in year 7 or however long this is going to be spread out, you're going to be paying for carts who are now basically at the end of their useful life still.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. And like I said, from administration-wise, $500,000 request goes out to bid in November for something we didn't have in the budget this year. Oh, well, you know, if we use them in the spring. Well, we knew that back. That's not a shock. We knew that back, and it wasn't brought up. So I just don't like how administration handled this at all. And like I said, I would like to explore, and maybe that could have came up during the budget talk, I don't know, more of an incremental fleet replacement, getting back on that, so we end up with 80 crappy carts at the end that we have to then find $500,000 to replace. And, you know, I would like to move more toward incremental replacements, so we have some new carts and some other carts, so we're not stuck like this every 5, you know, we're not sticking council like this every 5 to 7 years. Yes, we'll spread the cost out, but at the end of the day, we have a, you know, that's like an internal loan type thing. We have, you know, we have to pay $500,000, and yes, it will be paid back in 5 to 7 years or something. Come on. I mean, it just, I don't like anything about this. Okay. I mean, I like the idea of getting new carts, just not like this. And I like the idea of us talking about during a budget and putting it in the budget and knowing it's in the budget. Because right now I have the golf course budget that we approved it from me, and we had $90,000 in capital outlay being, geez, where is it? So like a lawnmower and 2 cart, okay. Light utility duty carts for 20, a mower for 60, and an AC and furnace for building maintenance for 10. That was what we had in the golf course budget for capital wise. And for the goals for 2023, improve bunker conditions, add fits drainage on the 6th fairway, renovate 1 and 10 tees, add riprap to the 4 ponds, continue to improve the playability of the golf course, remove and install new fencing around the dumpster, convert over new point-of-sale system to be more eco-friendly, add new merchandising displays and layout to Pro Shop to help maximize sales, and continue an effective working relationship with Crinks, which is the restaurant. It doesn't say anything about $500,000 of carts,
And
so.
I know it says nothing about cars, but we've done a lot of that stuff within the
Oh, I know you
internal
guys
budget,
have,
so.
I know we're talking about the T1 bricks and, all those things. It's going to be fantastic. You guys are doing great work over there. That doesn't make me feel good about proving an unexpected $500,000 of carts at this point.
In regards to how we're proposing paying for it, basically, I just used the template that this board approved last time, because when we came up last time, we actually brought leasing up, and it was proposed back to us
Oh, yeah,
by
I
the
remember
board.
the whole lease. I remember the whole leasing discussion from Pete was in the seat. I remember the leasing discussion.
Yep.
So I'm not suggesting leasing. I understand the benefits of purchasing. I just don't like purchasing again all at once and then getting stuck having to do that again all at once and all at once and sticking with whoever sits up here in 5 to 7 years with another $500,000. If we do that, it would be good to put that in the budget, during budget, and put that through the normal budget process and talk about during budget hearings and approve as part of an overall holistic budget, like we do for other bid purchases. That would be
understood.
pretty good. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frederick?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I thought, Rob, I thought at that time I'm not sure, I don't think it was you that was up here, it might have been, was it Greg maybe at the time? Or?
It was
No, it would've
Tim
been Tim.
Dorner.
Oh, Tim, okay. So, I thought what we were gonna try and do is to go back out and start, doing a third at some point. But again, everything is within, what are we doing with everything else is what
Yes.
affects what we do with these, right? So, a couple quick questions on the carts themselves. Are you sending we have 80, I assume, right?
We have 75 right now.
75,
The reason we're asking for 80 is because a lot of times when we get these larger golf outings, our 70 carts aren't sufficient enough to have the 80 players plus all the people they have
Right,
volunteering.
right.
So we end up renting carts, which costs us more money in the long run.
all right, that makes good sense. I guess my question was relative to the carts we have, are any of them worth keeping? I mean, do you look at them and go, okay, look at number 3 is like the best one and number 22 is the worst one? Do we even have a way to figure that out?
Not for golf use. If we kept anything, it would be more like, the pool needs a new cart to maybe pull some trash. But for golf use, no. They're way beyond what I guess their golf useful life would be. We're just seeing a lot of repairs right now.
Okay.
And I wouldn't keep them for golf. They're more for cottage use or just minimal use moving forward.
So are any of those something that we should hang on to for the parade or for the fireworks or for any of those kinds of things? Do you think?
I mean, we can explore that, yeah.
Well, we don't, even for the parade, I'm not sure we want to run that down there and have those. We need some good ones, and if he's got an additional ones, I think that'll assist in
And we
that.
probably need some bigger ones, right? More people kind of thing too, so.
Well,
for
the
that.
activities committee's bought a number of those before, too.
Okay. All right, and then,
And actually, that's a good place to actually go. The parade maybe has funding too. Maybe they can look at evaluating that, I think so.
And we've rehabbed the transporter that the pool has, so we've rehabilitated that, so we've been taking that to events to use too. That was down for a number of years, so.
so you're thinking that, do this now because otherwise we're not only the wear and tear on the vehicles, but, also repair and maintenance.
Repair
It
and
will be
maintenance,
much higher.
battery life, all of that. And like I said, we were able to secure carts before the season. We didn't think that was gonna be a thing anyways, so
Right.
all of this combined together is why we brought it now.
Do we replace tires on those ever?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And how long
Firestones.
how long do tires last? Do they, couple seasons? It depends
Oh,
on
more than that.
what gets run over.
We probably have carts that had them on for 4 or 5 years, really.
Wow, okay. All right. All right, I can see your strategy here. It seems good.
Ms. Burgess?
So what you're saying is that these will not last another year? Or it's going to be too much maintenance to last another year?
Could they last another year? Yeah, but it's gonna take a lot of tenderness and love to get them through another year. a lot of the underbody is, it's not rusting out, but they're easily breakable. It's just, they're wearing down. And for the use that they get at the golf course, they're just not as functional as they should be at this point.
And what's the percentage of walkers versus who use the cart? I mean, it seems to me that its cart is just way more than ever.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
10%.
So it's 90% now use a cart.
I can tell you this part, just the way that warm
Mr.
spell.
Crippen, can you get up there?
That warm spell we had in December, where we had a couple days, real nice golf weather. We have, I think, 7 carts right now that are out of commission right now that got to be repaired, just from that 2 days. So it's, they're, like Rob said, they're starting to, there's a lot of suspension stuff, steering stuff. Seats are kind of falling through a little bit. I mean, they've kind of met their time, I say, so.
Makes sense.
And we're going to be open this week too, actually. So, just to say how much play we get,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
we have a lot of people calling just to play this week, so we're going to open up.
So you're saying we're going to open the golf course for play?
We are.
Is that- Is that
February.
the commercial? Yeah,
Good, right? Good. Ms. Burgess? Mr. Karen?
Thank you. Yeah, to Councilman Rusi's point, in terms of it being pulled ahead to this year, and let's have be a conversation with the city manager, but, we've had pool contingency items pulled in for us to talk about. Things are definitely pull ahead, things are coming to more expense, we're getting a heads up about. So the fact that this wasn't brought to our attention before today, that needs to change going forward. Especially, and really, and this should have also, this motion, if it goes through, ought to include the budget amendment for it as well. Since you are going to deliver it this year, this isn't a matter of we're putting the order in because we know we can't get them for a year. If they're going to be here before June 30th, it's definitely out of this year's budget and needs a budget amendment.
And I
as well.
did speak to Renee about it before, so we're going to make sure that's included with her set of budget amendments, assuming this goes through.
Right, but
I know it needs to be
I
involved.
prefer when we're
Yep.
doing something that is different, we approve it that night.
Sure.
So that she's not having to come back 3 months later saying, oh yeah, this is something you guys already did, you need to approve it tonight. And the impact, right? When we're making a change to the budget, it's got to be in the motion and in the statement that that's what we're doing. And just to be open and honest about it. And that was definitely missed here. But that being said, I understand the need, and I remember the whole conversation between buy and lease, and looking at the numbers this year, it wasn't the case 7 years ago, but, it is this year that buying makes more sense, financially, especially with the eventual trade-in value. The other motion on here, recommend a motion to go to the auction route. Definitely, they're guaranteeing us more money than a trade-in, and that could be more. And just kind of for everyone else's benefit, some of the email conversation between Rob and I today was about how is it paying back the general fund and how that was calculated. And so basically what I asked him was that the auction money that comes back in, that directly goes back to the general fund, and then the remainder turns into what the golf course will owe the general fund over the next 7 years, and make sure that it's clearly delineated in the budget as a line item, going forward, so it is tracked. Because also now that the golf course is its own fund, on its own, as we approved at the last meeting, there's got to be a certain reserve always there for, auditing reasons. The 180 or so thousand has to be there, so you can't really dip below that. So that's got to be part of your budget, so you're always well above that 180. With this and any other capital items are going to come on, because, there's going to be other capital items coming forward, so. But with that, I will agree to go ahead with the purchase, but I would ask that the final motion include the budget amendment as well.
Mr. Rebello?
Yeah, a couple of questions. That's one of my questions would have been the payback to the general fund. We don't usually do these types of things, so I know, I can't remember you coming and doing this before. Maybe you have, but this is sort of the exception to how you guys go. But like John was saying, in the future, more of a heads up, obviously, is the best bet, but I understand how things go sometimes. As far as, these are about 8 years old, is that what they are?
Yeah, they'll be 8 years old this year.
Okay, so there's probably, more repairs with these types of older ones, so of course that costs money too. I'm not sure who's doing the repairs over there. What's your maintenance plan over there for the carts?
So we have two guys who really maintain the carts, Robert Brazier and Greg, who's our mechanic back in the golf course garage there.
Okay, and, better carts, correct?
Oh, yeah, I mean, just the fact that they're going to be brand new compared to what we have now is going to save us a ton in our repair budget.
And your catering truck, your catering card is going to be half paid by Cranks?
That's correct. Yep. That was part of
Cranks is
their,
the food vendor out there.
that was part of their contract agreement when they came on with us, is to pay for half of the cost of a new beverage cart.
Okay, and these batteries, lead acid batteries, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and they're actually, if we were to go with, what's the other batteries that we, lithium, is that what they're called? Okay, so this is actually a savings against the lithium too.
Lithium is supposed to use less energy.
Yeah.
However, the difference in the sale price for buying new lithium versus buying new lead acid, plus the energy savings, still didn't get us back to close to square. So that's why we're proposing the lead acid.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, with that, with the amendment John talked about, I will move to award the 2023-24 purchase order for the golf course golf carts and beverage cart to Midwest Golf and Turf in the amount of $503,897.99 as recommended by the city manager.
Mr. Rebello, so if we do it, we'll do three motions. So we'll start with the first one
Okay.
and do that.
All right.
And I'll go back with you on each one if you don't mind. So moved by Mr. Rebello, supported by Mr. Kieran on that to award that to Midwest Golf, the amount of $503,897.99. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
5-1. Then regarding the Raleigh auction, Mr. Rebello, that would be the second
The
motion?
second one, yeah, that would be the second motion.
You're making that motion to support an award to Raleigh Auction to auction our current fleet. Is that correct?
Correct.
Support. Moved by Mr. Rebello, supported by Mr. Kieran. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
5, all opposed. 6-0. Then the third one is to make a budget amendment in the amount of $503,897.99. Will you make that motion, Mr. Rebello?
Motion made, right there.
Support. Supported by Mr. Kieran. Any questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
6-1, it's 5-1 on that one. Thank you. And then you will keep, if you don't mind, please, because it'll be a very you'll be buying them and selling them probably right around the same time. So if we could get the information on how you did with selling the carts, that's what I wanted to get.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, keep us updated on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I make one more comment on this?
Yes.
I think that these things are, the cost of everything seems to be going up, and I think, the sooner you buy them sometimes, the better.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you. Item 5 is the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Support by Mr. Kieran, supported by Mr. Frederick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Item 6 is updates and follow-ups from prior council meetings. I will highlight that from the January 22nd, 2024 meeting. Mr. Rebello requested a list of accomplishments for the Parks and Rec Department, and we'll highlight a few of them. Opened a new double flume water slide, started construction of a new pool pump house. The Bryce track was resurfaced. New playground opened at Bryce Park. New playground also at Memorial Park. Both actually coming from grants. Opened the Blossom Heath Activity Pier and increased security at Blossom Heath with new electronic gate system. Mr. Kieran asked for a protocol to be put in place when someone damages the road that makes them responsible for the cost of repair. The administration is working with the city attorney's office on a protocol. Bob, you know when you'll have that? Will that be shortly?
It will be, I have, yeah.
Have your
it will
mic?
be.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you'll
we can have that protocol ready.
already. Ms. Burgess asked for a review of the no turn on red at Greater Mackin Cavalier. Resident requested removal of the sign. Mr. Police Chief is working on that. It says under review, so they are working on that and should get back to us here shortly. Mr. Rebello asked for meeting dates regarding the CDB grant money. The public hearing date for CDBG will be February 13th, 7 p.m. An application for funding is available by contacting Ken Blankenship, who runs the CDBG program, at 586-447-3362, or electronically at kenb@scsmi.net. So again, that public hearing date will be February 13th, 2024. It doesn't say where it'll be at. Where is that at, Denise?
It's here in council.
All righty, thank you. Ms. Rebella asked how many sailboats were in our marina, and that is 10. Mr. Rebella asked also for information on the hazard mitigation plan. The hazard mitigation plan is reviewed annually with a full update every 5 years. The plan contains information about and plans to lessen the severity of natural and human-caused hazards that could pose a threat to this community. The current plan version is 2020 through 2025 in the Office of Emergency Management, which I think is Chief Piper, right? That goes through him. Works directly with each community on the specifics of their city. It is a county-wide document, but has sections specific to the city of St. Clair Shores. In January of this year, we began a long process of a full update of that plan for the next action period. Chief Piper will be coordinating with DPW and CDI to confirm updates as well as potential projects that would assist with improving our mitigation efforts that will be entered into the plan. And a copy of that, if you'd like, is at the Central Fire Station. So you can get with Chief Piper and get a copy of that. Mr. Rebello asked to set up a meeting to go over some grant programs offered through the MML. Mr. Rebello and Ms. Pike met on 129 to discuss areas of opportunity. Were you satisfied with that discussion, Mr. Rebello?
A lot of positive things came out of that for the promotion of this town.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Rusi asked for a revision of update and follow-up. She asked for the follow-ups on pending closed items. Department directors have been notified. I would ask a little bit more regarding that, Ms. Rusi, but that probably would go to Mr. Linton. He's
Yeah, that
not here, so
Yeah, that wasn't closed items, that was sometimes,
the updated ones here.
yeah, and, sometimes
Yes.
you would say an item like,
Refer to
Last-
the city attorney.
Yeah. Sure.
like last December 2022, let's get a one-page handout of committee policies for committees, and it says, oh, refer to the city attorney, that falls off forever, and it's never
Yes, ma'am.
completed. So this way we can track what items are still pending. Once you're closed, they can fall off, but what items are still
Yes.
pending and still in the
Yes.
process of being worked on until there's a resolution, so we can better track them.
I agree. If Mr. Linton was here, we could ask him further, because we can't. But I agree with you, and I will
I
follow
brought
up
it
on
up
it.
last meeting, so I think it
did.
should be,
Continued on.
it should be on the next
Yes,
agenda,
ma'am.
the next updates.
And then we had a resident concern regarding fire hydrant maintenance. Director Babcock and Chief Piper did with Mr. Holtz after the last meeting. The fire hydrant maintenance and flow logs are not accessible currently online. They are kept as paper records at the water department. The city has 1,848 hydrants in the system. Each hydrant is inspected annually. The system is monitored by computer for flow and pressure in real time. But Mr. Holtz, that when he did come, that hydrant was not working. It had broken off. So I'm sure we have that repaired now. There's Mr. Babcock in the back there nodding that. So yeah, it was broken and we've got it repaired. So
Hey, Mayor Walby?
Yes.
In terms of that, I was really surprised to see that we have paper copies only. Isn't there something we can up, some sort of software, even a spreadsheet, but something we can have that is more electronic and up to date than maintaining and relying on paper copies?
I would agree. We'll bring that back up to Mr. Lent.
Okay, thank you.
That is item 6, updates from prior meetings. So item 7 is comments by individual council members. Ms. Burgess.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor.
I just wanted to bring up Project Brotherhood Resolve. It is a something that's kind of near and dear to myself and my husband. We've been a part of it for a year now, working with them to Project Brotherhood Resolve is founded to address the growing problems of veterans homelessness and the veteran suicide through intervention. They're having their annual weekend. It is going to be May 31st through June 2nd. I'm bringing it up now because they are looking for any veterans that do artwork. So they do a beautiful gala there, and they display artwork and, of course, sell the artwork. They're having, on Friday the 31st, they're having a military gala, and then June 1st, they're having a sip and paint. And also, which is going to be really fun this year, is a Battle of the Branches comedy show, which is going to be all 4 branches of the comedy, and then they're going to do a battle down to the winner. Also on June 2nd, which is Sunday, they're going to have a brunch at 10 a.m., and then they're going to have the Orbitsons, our local band is going to be playing from 1 to 5. And so, again, they're looking for any veterans that are out there, especially if you need help, if you're, want to talk or need help, that they reach out to them, as well as anybody that does any artwork. They're really trying to get more artwork displayed this year. So that's Project Brotherhood Resolve. You can find it on a website, projectbrotherhoodresolve.com, or Facebook as well. And then this Sunday is the Miss St. Clair Shores and the Miss St. Clair Teen Program on Sunday at Lake Shore at 2 p.m. And another thing I thought was very interesting, because this is me, I've had an iPhone for umpteen years and still don't know how to use all the little gadgets, but GVST Wellness is doing an iPhone photography basics class on Wednesday, coming up in a couple days at 6:30 at their place on Greater Mac. So that should be something for all of us that don't know how to use our phones very well. And then fish fries coming up. Lent is starting here next Wednesday. So fish fries are starting. I know St. Isaac Joe's already put their flyer out. Starts February 16th and goes through March 22nd, 4:30 to 8. And then the Bruce Post VFW is starting March 16th as well and going to March 29th. They do the Good Friday, but St. Isaac Joe's does not. And that's from 4 to 8 p.m. And if anybody else has any fish fries in our area, let us know.
St. Margaret's, probably.
St. Margaret's, okay, great. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Rebello.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to see if I could get the notes. I guess the whole council would probably benefit from that, but I believe Liz Cotto had a meeting January 16th with some of the real estate landowners who own businesses here in St. Clair Shores, who own the buildings and so forth. And Nino Cuter, I ran into him today, who's a big part of our business community as far as the buildings go. Thought it was a very good meeting, and I'd like to sort of get the minutes or the notes of that, because I think they made a lot of suggestions on how we could be more beneficial to the business community, and maybe tweak a few ordinances and so forth. So I think that would be an interesting catch, those minutes. If they ever do anything like that again, I'd like to know about it, and maybe we can sit in on it too and learn a few things. Pool pump house. I just want to make sure that pool's up and running. How's everything going? I guess Jason Harms isn't around here, Mr. Waterworld, so we just got to keep on our target. That's.
We do have the director.
Okay.
Jason
always talks about the pool.
Really just simple, everything's on track. So all the equipment's been ordered. I believe all of it is actually in stock. They're just waiting to get to certain parts of the project to put it in. So everything's on track right now.
So, and May 31st is our target date?
Absolutely, before that.
Thank you. Water bill questions, okay? A lot of water bills going out and so forth. People have questions on the estimated. Who's got the telephone number if somebody wants to call and get some answers? Who would they call?
Vicky.
What, DPW?
No, Vicky Shipman, probably, right?
They actually would call over here to City Hall, but unfortunately, I do not know Cindy's number directly. So, but they would talk to Cindy Blaze or Vicky Shipman, who is a city assessor.
Okay. Anyone have that number up here?
We'll get it for you before the end of,
Okay.
before we're all done here.
Let's move on. Parade is starting to hit full motion, our 2024 parade. Looking for active vets, active military people. We'd love to have them in the parade. Got a ton of people that have never participated in our parade who want to walk, who want to participate. So that's a good sign for 2024. E-cities, as the mayor talked about, myself and Denise Pike, I thought it was a really good conversation we had, and a lot of good things to offer. And a lot of it has to do with a collection of data, analysis, so makes our job a little bit more easier as far as what people want and what they're looking for. So I'm looking forward to pursuing that. And we can talk about alleys later and how people get their alleys done, because there seems to be some really bad spots. And I think we have $100,000 allotted to fix alleys. Is that right?
We do.
So I don't know if we might need a little bit more to fix some of these safety issues and so forth, but we can talk about that. And
regarding alleys, you're correct. We have 100,000. I believe AEW is revisiting the alleys, and right, because I think we have obviously more alleys than we have money for, and we're going to get that list here soon of the priorities. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have the priorities that were determined last year, but we are looking at ones that we can forego doing reconstruction. So the priorities list may change slightly. We will get that to council in the very near future.
because I gave you a couple ones that are a really bad one that were slated for 2023 but didn't get done. So hopefully they're at the top of the list in 2024. And the last two things I want to talk about, hey, discover the nautical mile. Spring's right around the corner. We were at the boat show. I know Linda was at the boat show, and it sort of gives you, hey, spring's coming, summer's coming and stuff. It gives you a little kick. And the last thing I want to talk about is it's been a long road, but we're going to go up. Me and my dog Teddy, we got an appointment with the governor tomorrow. She's going to do her ceremonial bill signing, and we're going to meet her. She wants a picture with Teddy.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. That's it. Thanks, Mayor.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Rusi.
Thank you. Follow-up question about the estimated water bills, and I had sent this to Dustin, but maybe Brian knows the answer. I got contacted over the weekend by a resident who was receiving estimated water bill for a few billing cycles, and she called, like you're supposed to, and she was told appointments weren't being made for service calls at this time. Is that accurate?
Mr. Babcock?
We were doing meter appointments, and we're going to see through any ones that were scheduled. But as of last week, we had a meeting and we had to postpone the meter replacements. And forgive me, I can't recall why we had made that decision, but I
That's
can
an
get you an
important
answer.
decision. How can you not remember what the reason was? We go every council meeting talking about these estimated bills and how this is how you contact the city, and we need to reach out to people, and people need to reach out to us. And I'm on Facebook all the time telling people, oh, you're getting ease on your bill, that means estimate, call the city. And then suddenly we don't do appointments, and we're not told that. And I learned it from some lady on my email on Sunday morning. I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
It just keeps going and going and going and going. And it brings to mind the question, where does the buck stop? The buck stops somewhere in the city. Where? It just seems like there's so many things falling through the cracks and so many issues in the past 2 months. I'm very frustrated.
Well, I would agree. I mean, we're not informed that all of a sudden we're not taking
And you don't
appointments.
even know the reason. What's the reason that, is it a personnel, a staff issue, is someone, why can't we schedule this lady an appointment? She did what we tell her to do. Contact the city if you have a bill with a knee on it. It might be a battery issue. We'll get out there. We have the attendants working now finally, and we have all these e-bills. that are probably meter related that we can knock out and fix and get everyone being as much as possible actual oil reads and getting actual people billed based upon their actual usage. Why are we not scheduling these appointments?
We'll get Mr. Lent, I mean, not to put Mr. Babcock, but I'll hopefully Mr. Lent's in tomorrow, and we'll get you that answer.
Maybe he knows. I don't know. It just,
Well,
I
hope he
just
knows.
don't
He's
understand. Well,
Supposed to know.
a lot of people are supposed to know. I'm just it's been a very frustrating couple of months.
Water main breaks.
Water tank maintenance item. That was on the last agenda. We tabled it. We had an 11-year no bid contract extension before us. The whole maintenance for the water tank on 10 Mile was a bid out. They were proposing, first time we heard of it, an 11-year no bid contract extension. We had a number of questions before we engaged the city in an 11-year no bid contract extension. This is kind of a time-sensitive issue. It was said to us, conveyed to us pretty much last meeting. I had a number of questions. This was supposed to, I think, come back at this agenda. What's the holdup? Why was this not on this agenda?
Yeah, there's a little bit more data that need to get done and could not get onto this meeting, so.
Okay, next meeting?
I'm hoping, I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Lentz. I'm hoping
I
that it'll
know,
be.
I know it's
I know you know.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating because it was really important and we were given not adequate information to feel comfortable committing the city to an 11-year no bid contract extension, and we haven't gotten updates about where we stand with that. If we get the information back and maybe we decide, oh, let's bid this out, they even further delays it because that's a lengthy process. And we weren't even informed prior to it not being bid out and the potential of an 11-year no bid contract extension until it was in our council pack, and it was really super important, so. Went to the Parks and Rec Daddy-Daughter Dance at Blossom Heath on Sunday with my dad. I've been going since I've been elected since 2010, every year, for a long time. I was the only daughter on council, so I would go with my dad to, help represent the city. I donate something, like a raffle prize. It's always a really nice event. It's become kind of my dad's and my tradition. I do things with my fiance, city related. I have a set of things I do with my sister, now my nephew, which is cool. And this is like the one thing I do traditionally every year with my dad. So he attended with me. It was wonderful. Park staff, they put on a great event. No wonder it sells out every year. I mean, and you see some of the same little girls each and every year grow up and get a little bit bigger every time, and it's obviously an important tradition for a lot of families in the city. So hats off and thank you to Parks and Rec staff for another wonderful event for daddies and their daughters or grandpas or whoever takes the little girls. And also Chef Bobby and the staff over at Blossom, he did a fantastic job too. It was a really well-run event and just one of those you walk away feeling really good and just proud to be a part of this even a little bit because it was, it's a really first-class event. So hats off to Parks and Rec. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tax and water billing phone numbers 447-3317, 447-3317. That was questioned by Mr. Rebello. Mr. Karen.
Thank you. A couple of updates from last meeting or questions. So I think back on water billing, I know we had the issue with the 480 water bills. Those finally did get out from basically the emergency printer that we had to go hire in a bit of a different format. Did we get, I guess, Dustin can follow up with us later this week, but basically an update on where we at with, because I think the next set of water bills did go out. I can't remember, it's 81 or 82
Right.
zip codes that went out, but what format were those? Are we still in the emergency or was the printer issue fixed? To basically get an update from Dustin on that. So we know where that is at. So last meeting we talked about getting the certification process for the Arboretum up and running, and we got a meeting on Wednesday that I have with staff to do that. So, and Denise did send me the whole report that Davie Forestry did, and actually, quite frankly, that report we ought to have doing all these other reports because they did a great job. And it was amazing to learn we actually have 39 different species within Bryce Parks of trees in that. So, and they even pointed out areas where, yeah, cottonwoods, oaks, maples, probably too many of those, need to put some other variety in there in terms of the density of the other ones as well to make sure we got a healthy system going forward, and that's all part of the Arboretum certification process. So look forward to meeting with staff on Wednesday with that to get that rolling. Then a follow-up on the Lakeshore Sled Hill. I got a call from a resident Friday, and I know I brought this up before. It's basically regarding the new sled hill that Lakeshore put in as part of their bond proposal, and how it all kind of aimed toward a tree. And they put hay bales all around that tree. And then one day I drove by and I saw this triangle going up the sled hill. I'm like, what is that for? Maybe it's like for them to walk up. And then I realized, no, it was the triangle was to avoid people to go away from the tree. And so what this resident said, even with the hay bales around the tree, even with the triangle meant to deflect kids away from the tree, it was still a fun thing for kids to try to hit the tree. So it's not our issue. We don't do anything with site plan with schools. We don't have any input on it. But maybe we ought to talk to the facilities person again of what's going on. It's a nice amenity they add, maybe not the best thought through the whole process there. So maybe follow up with them again. Thank you, Denise, for that.
Tell them not to read about the Sonny Bono story.
Well, yeah. I still don't, I do tree skiing. I don't know how we managed to do that. So I don't get it. But anyway, met with the Planning Commission. We talked to the study session regarding the ordinance rewrite of how we do penalty clauses to basically commonize them across all the chapters and make sure like similar type offenses get the similar type penalty to it. We had to go in front of planning since any change to the zoning ordinance has to go in front of planning for the recommendation. They did give a unanimous recommendation to council, so we need to get that done before the whole package comes to council. So greatly appreciate their comments in the discussion, and thanks to Denise, Norma, who's our code enforcement supervisor, and Eric from Bob's office, all helped in that discussion with the Planning Commission to understand what the intent of all that was.
Liz did too, probably, right?
And Liz presented it, yes, thank you. So I appreciate all the staff helping with that as well, and the Planning Commission for all their discussion regarding that topic. And last, we did have some emails going around about a workshop meeting for council. I think it was either going to be February 10th or February 12th, which is either Saturday or Monday. And I don't think we ever got a final date.
Nope, not yet.
When are we going to know this week?
When Mr. Lynn gets back in.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick.
Thanks, Mayor. First off, a huge thank you to Chief Allen. I appreciate the follow-up on the no stopping, standing, parking, which we just approved in the consent agenda. And I guess my question is how soon does that sign get put up, Brian? Pretty quick. Don't take the old one down. Just put the new one up. That'd be great. That'll hopefully stop the craziness that's on that street and the phone from ringing so much. So, okay. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate that hard work. All right. So I found that there's a grant writing training seminar in St. John's. It's in April. I'm going to pass this along to Dustin when he gets back, and maybe that's something that, when you guys are in your department head discussions, maybe we should send one or two to this. It's a 2-day thing. And these folks have a huge track record of people who graduated from the class, then going out and getting a lot of grants. So could be something cool. I'll pass that on to Dustin when he gets back. But, grant writing seems to be the way of the world now. And the better we can get at it, the more money that we put into the city. Also, let's see here. Just to mark your calendars, we've got the egg workshop at the Solinsky Green Farmhouse coming up on February 24th and March 2nd, 1 to 4 p.m., all ages, $25 a person. It's and I don't need a Pasanki, does that sound right? Pasanki Egg Workshop. And it's basically coloring eggs, and you can learn more at the library circulation desk. Also, mark in your calendars, this Thursday, February 8th, is movie trivia night. We talked about this before. Registration has already started. Call the library, 586-771-9020, and that's movie trivia night. Again, mark your calendars, July 12th, that's a Friday. The Optimist Club of St. Clair Shores is sponsoring their second annual golf outing. They've already got a top-line sponsor. It's going to be Edward Jones. And they've got a bunch of other whole sponsorships available, and as well as lunch, dinner, breakfast, and a few other things. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the library. But before I say that, Linda, I know you know how to use the camera on your phone, so I'm not sure.
There's a lot of things, there's a lot of things on the camera that you can do now, editing and all that other stuff. I know how to take a picture, but to edit things and to make things look prettier, I don't know, I'm not technical like
All right,
that.
I'll expect a full report on that. So,
Okay.
Because not only have I been in those pictures, I've seen you take a zillion pictures, so. All right, so we're expecting that to go up a notch. And then you guys already mentioned the Miss St. Clair Shores pageant coming up at Lakeshore 2 o'clock on Sunday, which is Super Bowl Sunday, February 11th. And I think you can get tickets in advance if you call the pageant. All right, real quick. The Salinsky Green Farmhouse Museum is going to create Victorian-style Valentines on Saturday, Feb. 10, from 1 to 4. No registration is required for this event. The Friends of the Library they're having a book discussion on the 14th at 1 p.m. in the meeting room on the 5. The 5 Untold Lives of Women Killed by Jack the Ripper. It's by Hallie Rubenhold. I know, it sounds a little crazy. All are welcome to join and no reservations are needed. And just so you know, the library will be closed on Monday, February 19th, which is President's Day, and will reopen on Tuesday, Feb. 20 at 9 a.m., resuming regular winter hours. And the library wants to express its gratitude, and I do too personally. We lost Joan Perry, who was a longtime member of the library board. She came in and made a very generous donation from her estate of $8,374.55. I don't know what that number represents, but some of it, it means something. And she was an avid supporter, and the contribution will significantly impact our youth services department, especially as we work towards renovation. So Joan, God bless you, and we miss you. That's all I have, Mayor. Thanks.
Maybe it's code for somewhere in the Dewey Decibel System to go look.
There's something. There's going to be a movie or a book about this written by Dan Brown.
There'll be more money
Just
buried
like a
somewhere.
percentage.
Item 8 is city manager report, and obviously we don't have a city manager, so there's no report.
Okay.
Item 9, audience participation. The views, our five-minute time limit, views and opinions expressed under audience participation are those of the individual citizen only and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of the mayor, city council, and the administration of City of St. Clair. Anyone like to speak in front of city council? Anyone? Anyone? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. We just need your name and the city you reside in, and then after you're done, if you wouldn't mind signing in, and Denise will show you. Pull the mic down, ma'am, so we can all hear you. Good evening.
Good evening. How's everyone this evening?
Good, thank you. You?
Good. Fine, thank you. My name is Denise Collars, like dollars with a K, someone told me.
Like it.
I live in St. Clair Shores. I'm on Westbury.
Okay.
Mr. Karen brought up the water bill.
Yes.
And that's what I came about this evening. As one of your senior citizens, it's hard to read.
Okay.
But I understand now this is just temporary?
Yep.
Okay, because the light print, and then it got really small as it
Yeah.
went on, and it was like, I already wear bifocals.
We've had a little issue with our contractor,
I'm
so
like, wow.
so hopefully it'll be fixed with the next one. So we had an issue with our contractor. so.
Okay, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just loved listening to you, Ms. Rusi. I'm Office Supervisor for Children's Services in Macomb County through
Yes.
the State Protective Services, Foster Care, and Juvenile Justice. And I've been proofreading for years, and I was just enjoying that whole conversation. And
You guys should,
after
you
you're
guys should
going
have lunch. You guys should have lunch.
yes, I mean, I drive up and down the streets, and I'm looking at professionally made signs going, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. But, so, and I just want to thank all of you for your time, your attention, and how much you care about our city. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Anyone else? Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Mayor. I would say county's getting back in the year and moving along, and
Commissioner Zinner, do you live in Harrison Township?
here, I live in Harrison Township,
All right.
sorry, and I cover Harrison Township and most of St. Clair Shores. Thank you. I think the main thing I want to say tonight is I had a lot of citizens call, text, email me in regard to the land bank decision that was made a couple weeks ago. It sounded like it was going to be a very positive venture, but there's a lot to look into with that, and the commissioners talked about it quite a bit. We verbalized ourselves, and then we all had quite a few citizens communicate with us. I had St. Clair Shores citizens, I had citizens from around the county. We probably all did. And there are some situations that were presented, such as after having the land bank, and it could be small areas, I'm not sure exactly, that they wanted to give it back. If it worked out well, it was great. For areas that it did not work out well, it could be quite costly. And there were a lot of situations that we talked about and thought over. And of course, with the vote, most of us decided not to take that venture for the county. We didn't want to get mired in any financial debt at all. And of course, cities and townships can't do that for themselves. And according to the map that we saw, there are a lot of areas in Michigan that have ventured into or are into a land bank of situations. I don't know how many are now. I don't know what we were shown, if that was at one time they were, or if they are at this time. There was a lot of pros and cons, and it'd be great if it worked well, and for the people who didn't have it work well, it was not good at all. So that was our decision, and I appreciate the citizens bringing their concerns to us, and to me, and to the other citizens, to the other commissioners too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? With that, we'll go back to Mayor's comment. You see that the request to go into closed session was scratched. It'll probably come back. The city attorney's still working on that issue, so hopefully it comes back at the next agenda. So with that, we'll need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Frederick, supported by Mr. Karen to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Good night.